kinds of guys don't change. You think they ever suddenly wake up and realize the error of their ways and clean up their act? No! They just keep ruining everyone's lives, and the world is better off without them.
This video was intended to inform and educate the public.
First-degree assault, armed criminal action, and kidnapping. Those are the charges 26-year-old Northwoods police officer Samuel Davis is now facing following an investigation that began when a passerby saw something that looked out of the ordinary.
Another one bites the dust.
A Northwoods police officer is accused of breaking a man's jaw after an arrest. Samuel Davis was arrested in Fayetteville, North Carolina this morning.
First-degree assault, armed criminal action, and kidnapping. Those are the charges 26-year-old Northwoods police officer Samuel Davis is now facing following an investigation that began when a passerby saw something that looked out of the ordinary.
Welcome back to the Junkyard News. In today's video story, we're going to be talking about an officer that took a page out of the movie Rambo: First Blood when he decided he's had enough of an individual and drove him to a secluded area, beat him with a baton, breaking his jaw, and then left him there to suffer.
Looking the way you do. You're asking for trouble around here, friend. Now jump in. I'll make sure you head in the right direction, huh?
You got someplace I can eat around here?
There's a diner about 30 miles up the highway.
Is there any law against me getting something here?
Yeah, me. We don't want guys like you in this town.
Not only that, but when he was terminated from his employment at the police department, he decided to go a couple towns over and apply to be an officer of their jurisdiction, only to find out when he applied, they ran his background, a surprise warrant came up for his arrest. That's right, he walked in to apply to be an officer in another jurisdiction, and he was handcuffed on the spot.
Davis was arrested here at the Fayetteville Police Training Center on Northeastern Boulevard. Fayetteville police say he was there applying for a job for the department when authorities uncovered Davis's newly issued arrest warrant. The St. Louis County Police say that while on duty for the Northwoods Police Department, Davis arrested and handcuffed a man back on July 4th. Then Davis allegedly turned off his own body camera, didn't tell the dispatcher he had someone in custody, and then drove his victim to a secluded area outside of Northwoods. That's a small city just northwest of St. Louis. Then investigators say Davis pepper sprayed the man, beat him with a baton, and told him not to come back to town.
We don't want guys like you in this town.
A witness found the victim, bloodied and with a broken jaw, before calling 911. The Northwoods Police Department says they fired Davis from his role as an officer.
Please, sir, I want some more.
And it gets better. There was a second officer that was with him when this all transpired. That second officer is also facing charges, was arrested, and is now going to be tried for kidnapping.
We've learned a second Northwoods officer has been arrested and charged in connection with kidnapping and beating a man. Michael Hill is charged with second-degree kidnapping. He and fellow officer Samuel Davis are accused of police brutality. According to court documents, Davis arrested a man, turned off his body camera, and then drove that man to a remote area in Kinloch. Davis then allegedly pepper sprayed the man and beat him repeatedly, breaking his jaw, leaving him there in that area as well. Now he's now charged with first-degree assault and kidnapping.
Although he did not participate in the beating of the individual, he was present and watched as his fellow officer kidnapped and beat, tortured, and left this man to suffer. So yes, he was arrested and charged with kidnapping. But again, it gets better. That second officer now is also facing charges because he was moonlighting off duty as a security guard at a bar. He had an altercation with a gentleman and his brother. That altercation went outside where there was a scuffle. The off-duty officer drew his firearm and an exchange of gunfire occurred. Now the man that he shot and paralyzed did pull a weapon in self-defense, and he spent a long time trying to convince a jury that his actions were self-defense because an innocent bystander was struck in the gunfire and he was facing charges for that. But he was vindicated, because after the original trial was a mistrial, when they tried him again, a jury found he acted in self-defense when the off-duty officer drew his firearm. It just so happens that he had one of his own and shot back. Again, he's been acquitted. That's right. He shot at an off-duty officer and was acquitted by a jury of his peers because it was self-defense. Now, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Rodriguez Farquhar, and I hope I'm pronouncing that decent. This man was left paralyzed after exchanging gunfire with, that's right, ex-Officer Hill while he was off-duty and moonlighting as a security guard for a bar. A jury has recently acquitted him of a murder charge related to the killing of a bystander during an October 2021 shootout outside a bar in North City. A shootout that involved an off-duty police officer who now faces criminal charges of his own in an unrelated incident. And that unrelated incident is the kidnapping and beating of the man that we spoke about earlier. Now, Rodriguez Farquhar was paralyzed after being struck by a bullet in the shootout, but found himself facing second-degree murder, assault, and armed criminal action charges. The jury deadlocked on the other two charges, and those were dismissed by prosecutors. On the night of the shooting, Farquhar had been at the Other Place 2 bar in the city's St. Louis Place neighborhood with family celebrating his mom's birthday. And at some point he was kicked out of the bar, and he and his brother were beaten up outside. The incident escalated into a gunfight outside the bar with security guard Michael Hill. Yes, officer at the time, Michael Hill, shooting at Farquhar and Farquhar shooting back. A 52-year-old bystander named Richard Young was struck by a stray bullet and succumbed to his injuries several months later. At the time, Hill was an off-duty cop for the Northwoods Police Department. He and another Northwoods officer, Samuel Davis, have since been charged in St. Louis County with kidnapping a man outside a Walgreens who was then allegedly beaten by Davis at a remote location. Now, some would say it's kind of comical that a circuit attorney's office thinks this officer is a hero, and at the same time, the county prosecutor thinks he's a criminal. Although in this case, the jury was not allowed to hear details about Hill's pending kidnapping case, of course. This was the second time that Farquhar stood trial for this exact case. Back in October, a judge declared a mistrial in the case after it was revealed that prosecutors had not handed over pertinent evidence to Farquhar's defense until halfway through the trial. Prior to the shootout, Farquhar had been a city bus driver. He's now unlikely to ever walk again. So there you have it. Not only did this officer participate in the kidnapping and beating of an individual, but then, while moonlighting as a security guard, he gets into an altercation with a man, draws his firearm, which causes the man to draw his own firearm in self-defense, and they go after the one acting in self-defense. But thank God a jury of his peers acquitted him. This time I'd like to thank you for watching this episode of The Junkyard News. I would sincerely hope you would take a moment to hit that thumbs up. Maybe leave a comment, because that does help the video to reach a broader audience. And until next time, we'll see you in the next video.